Imagine the most desperate moment of your life, when everything seems lost and all you see is the sea, with no way out. Now, imagine God, the Creator Himself, looking at you and saying, "Trust in me." That's how the people of Israel felt, facing the impossible, surrounded by enemies, with no hope. But it was precisely at that moment that faith opened the way, and the sea parted. Are you ready to experience what happens when faith confronts the impossible? Israel had just experienced something extraordinary. God had freed them from slavery in Egypt, a power they could never have imagined. However, after such a great victory, they soon found themselves trapped between the Red Sea ahead and the Egyptian army behind, ready to attack them. Imagine the fear and doubt. They were between the impossible and the destroyer. This is how we often feel as well. How many times, after a victory, are we tested again, even more intensely? It is at this point that our faith is forged, where God asks us, "Will you trust in me or in your fears?" At this moment, Moses, the leader chosen by God, was tasked with guiding the people. Think of the pressure on him. He had been called to this mission, but now he faced a gigantic obstacle. And how many times, as Christians, are we called to something great, but face situations where we see no way out? Here is the truth. God never calls us to a task without already having prepared the way. Moses didn't know how, but he knew that God had a plan. And that's what we need to remember. We don't need to know the how. We just need to know that God is in control. The people of Israel, looking at the sea ahead and the army behind, did what many of us do in moments of crisis. They began to complain, to doubt. "Why did you bring us here, Moses? To die in the desert?" Despair took over, and they quickly forgot what God had just done in Egypt. The truth is that, in the face of fear, it's easy to focus on the problem rather than on the God who freed us. But see, despair is also a test of faith. God knew they would face this situation and used this moment to prove something greater, that even when all seems lost, He already has the solution. Here is something powerful. The test was not just for the people, but also for Moses. His trust in God would be the key to the salvation of all. Just like in our lives, sometimes God leads us to the limit so that we can see the impossible become possible. In such moments, we are called to trust, even when our eyes only see chaos. And then, in the midst of despair, God speaks to Moses. "Why do you cry to me? Tell the people to march." What a powerful response. It was not the time to stop in fear, but to advance in faith. God instructs Moses to raise his staff, and the impossible happens. The sea parts, creating a path on dry land. This is how God acts. In the most unlikely moment, He does the unthinkable. He doesn't need perfect conditions. He transforms chaos into a path. This reminds us that, in our lives, we often want to see the solution before we act. But God calls us to take the step of faith before the miracle happens. Just as the sea did not part until Moses obeyed, many times we need to act with faith, even when everything around us seems insurmountable. God has not changed. The same God who parted the Red Sea is the one who still opens doors today. He acts in the impossible, but He expects our trust before revealing His power. As the people of Israel crossed the Red Sea, imagine the mix of emotions. On one hand, the wonder of seeing the sea parted. On the other, the fear that it might close at any moment. Each step they took was an act of faith, but God was with them every moment, protecting them supernaturally. He placed a cloud between them and the Egyptian army, preventing them from being attacked. Even while the miracle was happening, God did not allow the enemies to come near. This scene teaches us something profound. God not only opens the way, He also protects us as we walk through it. Many times, when we are crossing our struggles, we forget that He is surrounding us with protection, even when danger seems imminent. When God opens a door, He also ensures that we reach the other side safely. Just as Israel had to walk with faith, we also need to trust that, if God started the miracle, He is faithful to complete it. When the last Israelites stepped onto solid ground, God did the unthinkable again. The sea, which had been the path of salvation for his people, closed over the Egyptian army. The same place where they thought they would be destroyed became the stage for God's victory. The people of Israel saw, with their own eyes, the complete destruction of their enemies. This moment was a clear reminder. God not only delivers, but He destroys what threatens us. In our Christian journey, this supernatural victory is an image of how God deals with our greatest enemies. He does not give us just a temporary escape. He guarantees a total and definitive liberation. When we trust in Him, we not only pass through the sea, but we see our problems sink before His glory. This reminds us that the battle is not ours, but the Lord's. And when He fights for us, victory is certain. Now think, what does this mean for your life? Perhaps you are facing a sea of problems, seeing no way out. It could be a financial challenge, an illness, or a family crisis that seems impossible to overcome. But just as God parted the Red Sea, He can also open the way for you. The key is to trust in Him, even when everything seems hopeless. God is a specialist in turning the impossible into victory, and this is not just an ancient story. It is a reality for those who place their faith in Him today. The same God who acted for Moses and Israel is ready to act in your life. Perhaps the sea will not part the way you expect, but believe. He always prepares a way. When you surrender your struggles to Him, you can trust that the solution comes, because He is faithful to fulfill what He promised. God continues to part seas, continues to win battles, and protect His children. And the great truth is this: what He did in the past, He can do in your life today. No matter how great the obstacle or how impossible the situation, the God you serve is the same one who parted the sea and destroyed the enemy. So, do not give up. Keep marching in faith. The miracle may be just a step away. Trust in the God who never fails. He has already opened the way. Now, it's up to you to cross it. If this video touched your heart and awakened your faith, I invite you to take the next step. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content that strengthens your Christian journey. Don't forget to like and share this video with friends and family who also need hope in their lives. And in the comments, share your story. How have you seen God open paths in your life? Together, let's encourage each other to trust in the God who performs miracles. Remember, your faith can move mountains,